The room fell silent when Caitriona Balfe said it. Her voice was calm, but the emotion beneath it cracked through like distant thunder. Sometimes, people you thought would be in your life forever, simply drift away. It was the kind of line that didn't need a name. Everyone knew who she meant. Sam Heughan. For nearly a decade, they had been inseparable. Not in the romantic way tabloids love to imagine, but in the rare, soul-deep friendship that felt unbreakable. Together, they had built Outlander from the ground up, turning a quiet historical drama into a worldwide phenomenon. Through icy winds, sleepless filming days, and storylines that blurred fiction and truth, Sam and Caitriona became each other's constant. Their chemistry was legendary, their laughter infectious. They finished each other's sentences, traded inside jokes, and shared glances that fans would analyze for years. Sam once said, "Caitriona is my partner in every sense of the word. I trust her completely." And she had called him, "my best friend in the world." But that was then. Over the past year, something shifted. Fans noticed first, the silence. No birthday wishes, no playful comments, no cozy photos from set. At premieres, they stood apart. At panels, their warmth felt muted. It wasn't tension, it was absence. The internet noticed instantly. Are Sam and Caitriona still friends? Did something happen? Every tiny non-interaction became a headline. But Caitriona stayed quiet, until that day. During an interview for her new independent film, a journalist asked casually about the friendships that had shaped her. She smiled, hesitated, and then said softly, "There's someone who meant a lot to me. We went through so much together, but sometimes life pulls people in different directions." The reporter pressed gently, "Are you talking about Sam?" Caitriona didn't answer, she just smiled, a small, bittersweet curve of the lips that spoke louder than any confirmation could. The clip went viral within hours. Comment sections overflowed with heartbreak. Old fan edits resurfaced. "They were soulmates," one fan wrote. "You could see it in their eyes." As the story spread, tabloids declared, "Caitriona Balfe speaks out about losing her best friend." Some said it was an overreaction, others believed it confirmed what everyone had sensed, that the once unshakable bond between the Outlander stars had quietly unraveled. Crew members who had seen them together described something profound. When one was down, the other lifted him up, one recalled. It was beautiful, but fame, distance, and time, they change even the strongest connections. Caitriona's marriage, new projects, Sam's growing businesses, they were no longer walking the same path. Still, for fans, the loss felt personal. To them, Sam and Caitriona weren't just actors. They were the living heart of Outlander, the embodiment of love, loyalty, and devotion. Now, that heartbeat felt fractured. Tributes poured in online. "You gave us hope in friendship," one comment read. "Please don't let it end like this." But Caitriona didn't respond. Her silence was louder than denial. It was acceptance. Weeks later, on a podcast about change, she spoke again. "Sometimes you have to accept that people grow apart," she said, her tone steady but soft. "It doesn't mean you stop caring. It just means you start caring differently." Listeners noticed how her voice trembled on differently. A journalist later wrote, "For Caitriona, losing Sam wasn't a breakup, it was like losing a piece of herself." Somewhere between their laughter and the silence that followed, the world realized this wasn't just about co-stars, it was about the quiet grief of outgrowing someone you thought you'd never lose. When asked if she'd ever work with Sam again, Caitriona smiled faintly. "Never say never. He'll always have a special place in my heart." But in the pause before she spoke, fans could feel the truth. Something had changed forever. The weeks after felt like echoes. Entertainment sites replayed the same clip, her wistful smile, their old laughter spliced with melancholy music. The internet mourned a friendship as if it were a love story. The end of an era, headlines declared. Behind the noise, life moved on. Sam was in New Zealand, filming, posting photos of mountains and training, but nothing personal. Caitriona stayed in Dublin, close to family. In interviews, she spoke of gratitude and closure. Words that sounded polite, but final. A Scottish magazine later hinted at the truth. A crew member described the drift that began during the pandemic. They were used to seeing each other every day. Then the world shut down. They changed. It wasn't anger. It was time. Fans, unwilling to accept it, searched for reasons: creative tension, jealousy, fame. But the truth was simpler and sadder. Two people who had carried each other through the storm of success had simply outgrown the shelter they once shared. In a later podcast about friendship, Caitriona was asked if she'd ever lost someone she never expected to. There was a long pause. When you work with someone for that long, she said, they become a part of you. But sometimes holding on starts to hurt more than letting go. I had to let go. Listeners knew instantly who she meant. The comments filled with heartbreak. They taught us love doesn't have to be romantic, one fan wrote. Sometimes it's the friendship you thought would last forever. Sam never replied publicly, but a few days later, he posted a single message on Instagram. Gratitude for the people who shaped you, even if they no longer walk beside you. No names, no explanation, just a photo of a Scottish hillside at dusk. It was enough. Fans connected their words like pieces of a letter never sent. The story wrote itself, a quiet farewell, filled with grace. Insiders said both had agreed not to speak about each other for a while, to let time soften the ache. They didn't fall out, one producer said. They just needed space. After 10 years of sharing everything, they wanted something that was theirs again. Months passed. Award season came and went. They were never seen together, but neither said a single unkind word. When Sam's new film premiered, Caitriona quietly liked the post from her private account. Fans noticed, of course. It was small, but it meant everything. Later that year, at a literary festival, Caitriona read from a poem she loved. Some friendships don't end, they just change address. Her eyes glistened as the audience applauded. Maybe that was the truth of it. They hadn't stopped caring, they had simply learned to love each other differently, across oceans, across silence. What was once daily laughter had become quiet respect. As one journalist wrote, the saddest goodbyes aren't shouted. They're whispered through time. That night, Caitriona posted one final thought. Cherish your friends. Some stay for a chapter, some for a lifetime. Either way, they shape who you are. She didn't mention Sam's name. She didn't have to. The world already knew. And somewhere, across the ocean, perhaps he saw it, and smiled. Because even though their paths had diverged, they would always share the story that made them who they are. And maybe, just maybe, someday, their paths will cross again. Not as co-stars, not as legends, but as two old friends who once shared something extraordinary. Until then, the silence between them will say everything words no longer can.